chosen one, stop asking God when it is going to happen. Something has already begun. The shift you prayed for may not be waiting in the distance. It may already be entering through an idea you dismiss, a door you fear, or a conversation that will not leave your mind. There is something urgent you need to understand. God can prepare the opportunity. He can move the people. He can arrange the timing. But you still need enough clarity to recognize the moment when it arrives, because even an open door can look ordinary when your mind is tired and divided. This is where many chosen people become trapped. They call it a waiting season after the season has changed. They ask for another sign when the first sign has appeared. They believe heaven is silent, while the real interference may be happening inside the receiver. That is why you have felt two opposite things at once. You feel that something is close, yet you cannot see the entire path. You feel called to move, but part of you freezes because every clear thought is quickly buried beneath another question. You sense that the old chapter is over. Still, you cannot name what the new chapter requires. This does not mean you lost your gift. It means you must learn the difference between divine delay and internal interference. You will see 5 signs that movement has already started. You will discover why your breakthrough may depend less on receiving another message and more on restoring the part of you that must recognize what is already being given. What God is doing is not happening someday. It is happening now. And the person you become in this moment may determine whether you meet it awake or walk past it while still asking when it will arrive. Here is one truth you can use now. There is a difference between not receiving something and not recognizing what has already entered your life. Many breakthroughs begin quietly, as discomfort with an old routine, a repeated thought, or a small opening that does not look impressive. Clarity does not always feel dramatic. Sometimes it feels like a simple knowing that keeps returning. Sometimes it feels like peace around one difficult choice. Sometimes it appears as a growing inability to remain where you are, even when the old place still feels familiar. Ask yourself 3 questions. Has one idea kept returning recently? Has something that once fit your life begun to feel empty? Is there a decision you already understand, but you keep asking for another sign? Do not force meaning onto every feeling. Notice the pattern. A true pattern repeats across time and circumstance, while a passing impulse usually fades when the emotion loses intensity. If you recognize yourself here, say this quietly: I am awake to this moment. Let those words become a decision to observe carefully, not a promise to act without wisdom. You are not being asked to leap blindly. You are being asked to stop assuming that nothing has changed. The first evidence may already surround you, but it will not always arrive with thunder, certainty, or a perfect map. Before you decide that your life is standing still, you need to see the 5 forms change takes before it becomes visible. Once you recognize them, the pressure, repetition, and restlessness of this season may finally make sense. Before change becomes visible, it often appears as a pattern. Most people miss that pattern because they expect a dramatic event, but the beginning is usually quieter. It first changes what you can tolerate, what keeps returning, and what you can no longer pretend not to know. The first sign is that old things begin losing their power. A routine once felt safe. A relationship once felt comfortable. A goal once seemed important. Now, the same things feel heavy, empty, or strangely distant, even when nothing obvious has changed outside you. Do not call this failure too quickly. Sometimes your ability to tolerate the old life decreases because a new identity is forming. What once protected you may no longer carry who you are becoming. The second sign is a direction that keeps returning. It may appear during prayer, a quiet walk, or an unexpected conversation. Then you dismiss it because the direction seems too simple, too ordinary, or too small. Pay attention to repetition, not only intensity. A loud emotion can disappear by morning. A true direction often returns calmly, After fear and distraction pass, it returns and asks for your attention again. The third sign is that relationships begin rearranging themselves. Some people become distant. New conversations reflect who you are becoming, while familiar ones pull you toward an older version. This does not mean every separation is divine. You still need wisdom and boundaries. But when several relationships shift around the same inner change, observe the pattern instead of judging each event alone. The fourth sign is increased pressure before increased clarity. Your body may feel restless, your thoughts may race. The old identity wants predictability, while the emerging identity requires movement. That conflict creates noise, and noise can make the correct path feel dangerous because it is unfamiliar. Pressure is not proof that you should continue. Real danger matters, but discomfort is not always a command to stop. The fifth sign is the hardest to avoid. You can no longer honestly say that you do not know. One conversation, application, ending, or small test is already clear. You may still lack the whole plan, but you do not lack the next honest move. The delay now comes from demanding complete certainty before taking a limited, reversible step. This is when preparation can quietly become avoidance. Imagine waking tomorrow with one clear decision. You do not analyze it for another week. You send the message. You make the call. You examine the opportunity. You move with calm attention, without asking fear to approve every step. Look at the 5 signs together. The old has lost its grip. One direction keeps returning. Relationships are shifting. Pressure is rising. And one next step has become difficult to deny. Any single sign can mean many things, but together they deserve careful attention. Chosen one, movement may already be happening, yet one question remains. If these signs are present, why can a sincere, prayerful, spiritually sensitive person still fail to respond? Why can someone feel the door opening and remain frozen before it? The answer is not weakness. It is not abandonment. Something can happen between receiving a signal and trusting it enough to move. That hidden gap is where many appointed moments are lost, and it is what you must understand next. A sincere person can receive direction and remain stuck. The pattern begins the same way. An idea appears. It feels clear for a moment. Then doubt arrives. Another sign is requested, and the original clarity disappears beneath endless analysis. This does not mean every thought is guidance. It means confusion can become a habit, especially when a tired mind keeps demanding perfect certainty before allowing movement. Your struggle may not come from weak faith. It may not mean you are unworthy, cursed, rejected, or forgotten. Sometimes, the deeper cause is mental fatigue, scattered attention, and a reduced ability to connect what you are seeing. Intuition points one way, while logic attacks it before examining the evidence. Soon, you stop trusting your ability to recognize anything clearly. There is a name for this: the receiver gap. It is the distance between a signal being given and your ability to recognize it, understand it, trust it, and respond with a wise action. The first stage is seeing without recognizing. The second is recognizing without trusting. The third is trusting without deciding, because every option feels incomplete. The fourth stage is deciding without acting. You know the next step, but fear returns and keeps the decision trapped inside thought. This gap can make years feel like one long waiting season. Sometimes direction was present, but your receiver became overloaded or trained to distrust quiet forms of knowing. Maybe you prayed for years, acted before, and were hurt. That matters. Your fear deserves honest examination, because discernment is not blind belief. Perhaps decisions now take longer, and attention drifts. This does not prove your calling disappeared. It may show that your attention needs support. Caution is not weakness. But caution becomes a prison when it demands absolute certainty before every step. Wisdom asks for evidence, tests the direction, and chooses a measured action. Fear keeps moving the standard until no amount of evidence feels sufficient. There is an ancient word for this moment: kairos. Chronos is time, moving in sequence. Kairos is the opening when a decision carries unusual importance. A kairos moment does not require panic, it does require presence. The opening should not be treated as endless simply because you feel uncertain. Recognition still matters. This is why you must separate divine delay from internal interference. Divine delay may protect, prepare, or redirect you. Internal interference repeats the same cycle after enough clarity has been given. One deepens wisdom, the other multiplies confusion without producing new truth. Ask what your waiting is creating. Is it producing patience, preparation, and better evidence? Or is it producing the same fear, the same questions, and the same refusal to test one small step? Your answer may reveal which delay you are living inside. And here is what almost nobody tells you. Recognizing a kairos moment is not only spiritual, it is also connected to how your mind processes patterns, balances intuition with analysis, and brings different forms of intelligence into cooperation. God may not be whispering more quietly. The signal may still be present, but if the receiver is strained, divided, and overloaded, even a repeated message can sound uncertain. The next question is not only what God is saying, it is what happened to the receiver. Think back to the mind you had as a child. You noticed everything. You connected ideas that adults kept separate. A cardboard box could become a spaceship, a store, or an entire world before anyone told you what was realistic. You learned through imagination and instinct. Logic did not fight creativity. They moved together, and you trusted the spark before you could explain it. Then life began to train you differently. You were rewarded for repeating the approved answer. You learned to silence ideas that looked impractical. You were taught to react quickly, divide your attention, and measure your value through constant performance. The modern world rewards fragmentation. Screens interrupt thought. Stress keeps the body alert. Endless information fills the mind without helping it connect what matters. Over time, many adults stop using their full range of perception and call the reduced state normal. No secret enemy is required. Daily life does enough. It trains people to memorize and respond, but rarely teaches them to unite analysis, imagination, and intuition. Chosen one. This matters because you may have mistaken reduced access for lost ability. You may say that you are not creative anymore. You may think age, failure, or disappointment removed something sacred from you. But what if the gift was never removed? What if the system carrying it simply stopped working as one? This question changes everything. A divided mind can still be intelligent. It can still pray, study, work, and survive. But it may struggle to connect signals, trust a conclusion, or hold a clear direction long enough to act. That is why more information does not always help. You read another book. You watch another message. You write another page of notes. Yet the pieces remain scattered because the problem is not always the amount of knowledge. Now hold one question before we continue. Researchers discovered that the condition I described may not be permanent. They found that the adult mind can be guided toward a more synchronized state through a specific process that takes only a few minutes. The discovery traces back to Nobel Prize-winning research. Yet most people have never considered what it could mean for pattern recognition, decisions, and clear inner direction. I will return to that discovery soon. For now, ask yourself this. What if your gift was never removed? What if the receiver only stopped working as one? Consider a woman who spent years caring for everyone around her. She prayed, served, and remained dependable. But one quiet instruction kept returning. Create something of your own. She dismissed it because it seemed too ordinary. She expected a larger sign. Then, the same idea appeared through conversations, journal entries, and unexpected opportunities, until she finally took one small step and shared her work. Nothing magical happened overnight, but that action created new conversations, new confidence, and a path she could not see while standing still. The breakthrough was not a dramatic command. It was her willingness to recognize a repeated instruction. Your next opening may look just as simple. It may be an email, a boundary, a conversation, or 1 hour protected for meaningful work. The ordinary form does not make the instruction unimportant. Say this with intention. My gift was never removed. You do not need to force positive thinking. You need to understand what the receiver requires and why a mind that feels divided may be capable of cooperation again. Imagine an old radio on a quiet table. The signal is present, but when the receiver is poorly tuned, turning up the volume only makes the static louder. This is the receiver principle. More effort does not always create more clarity. More signs do not always create recognition. Sometimes the answer is present, but the system interpreting it is overloaded, fragmented, or working against itself. Prayer still matters. Wisdom still matters. Evidence still matters. But the source of a signal and the condition of the receiver are not the same thing, and confusing them can keep a sincere person trapped. There are 3 common receiver states. The first is fragmented. In this state, intuition offers a direction, and logic immediately destroys it. You notice a pattern, then explain it away before giving it fair examination. The second state is overloaded. Too many worries compete at once. Every choice feels dangerous. The mind stops exploring possibility and begins protecting survival, because uncertainty now feels like a threat instead of information. The third state is synchronized. Logic does not silence intuition, it tests it. Imagination does not ignore reality, it works with evidence. Different abilities begin cooperating, and the next step becomes easier to recognize. This does not make every feeling true. It makes discernment stronger. A synchronized receiver can question an impulse without crushing it, examine risk without worshipping fear, and hold a clear idea long enough to test it. That is the difference between more information and better integration. One fills the mind, the other helps the mind connect. One gives you another sign, the other helps you understand the signs already present. Chosen one, you may not need another message. You may need your logic and intuition to stop treating each other like enemies. You may need your attention to remain steady long enough for a pattern to become visible. But here is the final piece. Recognizing that your receiver is strained does not automatically restore it. You can name the pattern and understand the interference, then wake tomorrow inside the same fog. The real question is practical. Can this condition be changed without adding another exhausting routine? Can the mind be supported in a way that does not require years of training, complicated methods, or hours of concentration? That is the discovery I promise to return to. It changes the meaning of everything you have heard. The adult mind may be capable of moving toward greater cooperation through a simple process designed around how its 2 sides communicate. The opportunity may already be present. Your uncertainty does not prove it is absent. The receiver gap can turn clear direction into endless delay, and the missing piece may be the restoration of cooperation across the whole mind. This does not force a miracle. It does not replace faith. It does not make decisions for you. It supports the condition needed to recognize, examine, and use what is already in front of you. God did not give you a calling and forget to give you the mind required to carry it. What became dormant may be supported. What became divided may learn to cooperate again. In the next part, you will hear the research behind this idea. You will also learn about a practical 8-minute method created to support whole brain activation and why people who felt mentally blocked began paying attention to it. Do not listen with blind belief. Listen with discernment. Examine the mechanism, the limits, and the evidence presented. Then decide whether this missing piece belongs in your next clear step. Do you remember the question I asked you to hold? What if your gift was never removed, and the receiver only stopped working as one? The research behind that question begins with Dr. Roger Sperry and his work on the divided brain. His research examined how the two hemispheres process information differently. That work was recognized with a Nobel Prize in 1981. The important idea is not that one side is good and the other is bad. The power appears when both sides cooperate. The left side is often linked with language and analysis. The right is often linked with imagery and broader patterns. Human intelligence was designed to bring both into useful communication. The product presentation calls this whole brain activation. It claims modern habits can weaken access to that state, especially when stress and divided attention become normal. Brain fog does not prove spiritual failure. A person can remain intelligent while struggling to coordinate focus, creativity, and pattern recognition. A woman from California described that kind of struggle. She had tried prayer, journaling, meditation, and the practices her community recommended. She believed the words, but she could not feel the guidance clearly in daily life. After using the sequence, she said something began to clear. She felt more present and more able to recognize direction. That was her experience, not a guaranteed result. A man from Texas described a different problem. His mind felt crowded, and business decisions became harder to make. He kept reacting to urgent tasks while delaying the choices that could move his work forward. After adding the 8-minute routine, he reported less fog and clearer decisions. He could identify the next useful move instead of circling the same questions. That is not a promise for everyone. The method they used is called the Genius Switch. It is a digital audio track built around an 8-minute targeted auditory sequence. The team presents its core method as neural sync technology. According to the product file, the program is associated with Dr. Daniel Barone, a neurologist in New York City. Its stated purpose is to support hemisphere synchronization and whole brain activation. The routine is simple. Put on headphones, close your eyes, relax, listen for 8 minutes each day. You do not need to repeat a mantra, write pages of affirmations, or master a complicated breathing practice. The presentation says it works beneath conscious effort. Meditation and yoga are optional. If you miss a day, return to the routine. The product is not presented as a binaural beat, a gamma track, or ordinary background music. Its claim centers on a targeted sequence. Direct neurofeedback can require costly appointments and equipment, while this is positioned as a simpler home option. This is not for everyone. It is for the person who knows their current fog is not their final identity. It is for someone who has done inner work but still struggles to hold focus, connect patterns, and act on a clear conclusion. It does not replace God, prayer, or personal responsibility. It is offered as a tool that may support the mental condition used to examine choices and respond. The presentation compares it with methods costing hundreds per session and home systems costing thousands. It also uses a value anchor of $500. The listed price is $49. The current offer in the product file is $39, with lifetime access and digital delivery by email. There is no shipping fee. 4 bonuses are included. A guided visualization covers money, love, health, and happiness. A smart grocery shopping guide addresses foods and habits linked with brain fog. There is also a classic manifestation book, over 100 years old, plus a printable 5 Habits infographic. The product presentation reports that 18,456 everyday Americans have used the program. along with many 5-star reviews. Those numbers come from the product presentation and do not guarantee the same experience for every listener. The offer also describes a full money-back guarantee, even after listening. Read the official terms before deciding. The page warns that the price may increase. Do not buy from fear. Ask whether continued fog and delay cost more than examining a practical tool. Use only the official page linked in the description or pinned comment. According to the product file, the authentic version is not sold on Amazon and is not officially available on YouTube or Spotify. Similar names do not prove the same method is being used. Check the source, read the details, review the guarantee, and decide from clarity rather than pressure. You are not being asked to believe blindly. You are being invited to examine whether an 8-minute daily tool fits the problem you now understand. The signal may already be present. The question is whether supporting the receiver belongs in your next honest step. The resource you just heard about is a tool. It is not a replacement for God. It cannot pray for you, obey for you, or make a decision in your place. It cannot promise wealth, love, healing, or a miracle. It cannot remove responsibility. Its role is smaller and more practical. It may support the clarity you use when you examine a choice, test a pattern, and decide what to do next. This matters because many people confuse spiritual trust with mental passivity. They keep waiting for certainty, while ignoring the responsibility that arrives with clarity. Clarity does not always make life easier. Sometimes it removes your last excuse. Once you recognize the next step, you must decide whether fear will still control the outcome. This is where another hidden obstacle appears. It is the fear of success. You may say you want the door to open, but part of you knows that an open door will change your relationships, your schedule, your identity, and the way others see you. You may fear being visible. You may fear managing more money, influence, or responsibility. You may fear losing the comfort of the person you have already learned to be. That fear does not prove the path is wrong. It may show that the old identity understands it is losing control. Chosen one, imagine waking with a quieter mind. You know what deserves attention. You stop reacting to every demand, and you place your energy on the one action that can move your life forward. Imagine seeing an opportunity before distraction hides it. You ask the right question, you read the details, you send the message. You make a measured decision without spending another week attacking yourself. Now imagine your relationships changing. You speak with more honesty. You recognize who supports your direction and who only feels comfortable when you remain uncertain. You stop confusing love with self-abandonment. You stop calling silence peace when silence is slowly erasing your needs. Your spiritual life changes too. Prayer becomes less crowded. You observe patterns without turning every event into a sign. You bring faith, evidence, patience, and action into the same conversation. This is what a tool can support. It cannot choose your direction. It may help you become more present while you choose. The resource described earlier remains in the description and pinned comment for anyone who wants to examine it. Read the details carefully, review the terms, decide from clarity, not pressure. And remember this: a clearer receiver creates greater responsibility. Once the fog begins to lift, you may have to admit that the next move has been visible for longer than you wanted to believe. Do not punish yourself for that. Use the awareness. The purpose of clarity is not shame. It is movement. Whether you use the tool or not, 3 actions remain. You must name what keeps repeating. You must observe the resistance honestly. Then you must take one verifiable step. That is how a chosen person meets a new season. Not with panic, not with blind belief, with discernment, courage, and action that can be tested in the real world. There are 3 actions to take when you sense that a season has changed. Together, they form the Now Protocol. The first action is to name what keeps repeating. Do not write 10 possibilities. Choose the one idea, decision, invitation, or boundary that continues returning after the emotion fades. Write it in one sentence. Make it specific. A pattern becomes easier to examine when it is no longer floating through your mind. The second action is to observe the resistance. Ask what is truly stopping you. Do you lack information? Is there a real risk? Are you afraid of judgment, success, loss, or responsibility? Perhaps the resistance is brain fog. Perhaps you want complete certainty before you take even a small step. Name one reason. Do not hide behind a vague answer. The resistance loses power when you can see its real shape. The third action is to walk one verifiable step. Do not make an irreversible decision while emotion is high. Choose one action you can complete within the next day. Send the email, make the call, check the numbers, read the terms, ask one direct question, create one page of a plan. The step should create new information, not only new emotion. That is how discernment becomes practical. Before you act, use 5 filters. Does this direction fit your core values? Does it create clear harm for you or another person? Is there real evidence supporting it? Can you test it through a smaller step? And after your body becomes calm, does the direction still feel clear? These questions protect you from impulse without trapping you in endless delay. They help logic and intuition work together. Now become still for a moment. Relax your jaw. Lower your shoulders. Let your breathing slow. Imagine that you are standing before a door. The door is not locked. It is already slightly open. You do not need to break it down. You do not need to run. You do not need to prove that you deserve what is beyond it. You only need to see clearly. Then you take one calm step. Place a hand over your chest or your stomach. Breathe in slowly. As you breathe out, say this: I do not need another year to take one clear step. Let the sentence settle. You are not promising to know the entire road. You are choosing to stop ignoring the next honest action. If examining the Genius Switch is that step for you, the official link is in the description and pinned comment. Review the page before you close this video. Do not act because someone pressured you. Do not act because emotion is high. Examine the method, the guarantee, the price, and the instructions. Then decide. If it is not your step, use the Now protocol anyway. Name the pattern, observe the resistance, walk one verifiable step. Say this now: I will take one clear step. The final truth you need is not another instruction. It is permission to stop living as though your moment is still far away. Chosen one, the pattern is now clear. Change often begins before it becomes visible. It appears through repeated direction, growing discomfort, shifting relationships, and one next step you can no longer honestly deny. The fog did not prove that nothing was happening. It may have revealed a receiver gap between the signal and your ability to recognize, trust, and use it. Your gift was not removed. Your access may have become strained. The mind can become overloaded, fragmented, and trained to distrust the quiet forms of knowing that once felt natural. The answer is not blind belief. It is discernment. Name the pattern, examine the evidence, observe the resistance, then take one step that can be tested. The tool you heard about is optional. It does not replace faith, prayer, wisdom, or responsibility. It is only a possible support for clarity and mental cooperation. You are not forgotten. You are not being asked to wait forever as proof of loyalty. Preparation has a purpose, but preparation was never meant to become your permanent home. Sometimes faith looks like patience. Sometimes faith looks like movement after careful examination. You are not too late. You are not without guidance. You are not less gifted than before. The fog is not your identity. The fear is not your master. The old season is not your permanent address. Say these words slowly. I am awake to what is changing. I no longer confuse endless hesitation with obedience. I honor wisdom. I examine the evidence. I listen carefully. And when the path becomes clear, I move. My mind is not my enemy. My gift has not been removed. What became scattered can be gathered. What became clouded can become clear. What became dormant can be supported and restored. I release the demand for one more dramatic sign. I will recognize the quiet instruction. I will respect the small opening. I will take the next honest step. I do not need to see the entire road to walk through the door in front of me. What God placed within me will not remain buried beneath fear, exhaustion, or confusion. I meet this moment with discernment. I meet this moment with courage. I meet this moment awake. It is not only coming, it has begun, and I am ready to respond. Write this declaration in the comments. I meet this moment awake. Do not spend another season asking when, while ignoring what has already begun.